now completely open to. There's no hiding it. There's no lying. There's no, oh, yeah, this is what you were thinking at this time when you did this. And you even thought to yourself that this was wrong. That's evidence that can be used against you because God knows your thoughts, like the psalmist said, while they were still a long way off. God knows
even
that.
Even the Holy Spirit convicts you at that time.
Yeah.
So if you reject the Spirit.
But you can also cauterize the Holy Spirit, quench him.
You can push it to the side, right?
Right. Because God, over everything, wants us to make that free choice. It's never a case of like divine rape. I know Calvinists believe otherwise, that before the foundation of the world was, God had you written in a little book, and that really makes a mockery of God, in my opinion. But
I'm with you. I'm not a Calvinist, that's for sure.
Calvin and Hobbes, maybe.
So there are people out there who actually have convinced themselves that they are doing right things when they're not. Now, there was a point to where they knew that they had to convince themselves. That's the line that they will be judged on, along with their works. But I don't think by any means there's not going to be anybody who did evil and will stand before God and goes, I actually thought it was a beautiful thing I was doing.
No, I kind of agree with you.
Because I think that's a lie. God knows it's a lie, and at some point you knew it was a lie too, and at some point that's going to come out on the witness stand. Because I don't think you can lie before God.
I mean, at some point you have to be so overwhelmed with conviction at what you're doing. I mean, I don't even know how people can do that, can just compartmentalize the Spirit and just push them to the side and just be oblivious to that. I mean, it's always loud in my ear. Don't do that. That's the wrong thing to do.
Some people apparently are able to do that. Otherwise, how do you explain some of the things that people do without any afterthought nowadays?
Well, I think there's a point to where people let emotion overrule everything. And if you can convince yourself, and it takes a lot of convincing, to hate people or a certain group, I can definitely see where your hatred can become so encompassing that you no longer even see those people as equals, as humans, as.
At what point do you think demons, or I should say that Satan, is involved? I'm sure that they're very active in fighting against the Spirit, against the witness of the Spirit that allows you to slip over that edge. Right, because if his main weapon is the web of lies, and you hear that enough in your head,
right,
it's pretty easy. It's you start, like you said. I don't know if it's a long time, depending on how strong your will is, I guess, before you. As I was telling Kathy, you hear enough lies on TV. It becomes a belief.
Well, okay.
It becomes the truth. Whether it's right or wrong, you say it enough times, people start saying, oh, well, yeah, it must be right.
That's what Adolf Hitler said.
Yeah. It's something I got into a discussion this week, and it was on a website where, on some Christian apologist website, you almost have to take a shower after going into the comment section because it's that bad.
Yeah, and it's not the host, that's the comments.
Yep. And people were accusing of God of the Gaps argument. Now, none of these people understood God of the Gaps argument. And looking back on my life when I was an atheist, I understand the amount of emotion that gets built up there, because God of the Gaps argument is like, look, a long time ago, we thought that gods threw down thunderbolts and lightning, and then we learned atmospheric science and blah, blah, blah. Those gods vanished. All right. A lot of times we thought gods were the ones that fertilized, crops, and the crops grew. Then we learned, agricultural science, and So they're dismissing all these gods because these gods no longer have gaps of knowledge to hide in. Then they transfer that over to the Christian God, that this Christian God is a God of the gaps, a science stopper or a knowledge stopper. So if you really hold knowledge in your heart as well, holy, but as sacrosanct, then you're going to hate that type of argument, a God of the gaps argument. You're going to hate the people that believe in that God as just completely simplistic, just backwards, yada blah, etc. Add whatever you want, and you're going to hate them.
Yeah.
I saw a cartoon where it showed there was a switch, and down at the bottom was as like Dark Ages. Then up at the top was like Star Trek, and there was secular humanism down below trying to push the switch up, and you saw this big finger on it holding it down saying religion. And for a lot of people, that's what the gut battle is. Now, you take people, you make them angry like that at anything, whether it's a race, whether it's a class, whether it's a religion, whatever it is. And now you've already primed the pump. All that really is you needed for that person to go out and do evil is you need to remove a few pins from their life to where everything's going haywire for them. And they look around in the split second, they just go, you know what, this is pointless. I have no reason to live. Soon as that comes out of a person, guess what? They're a time bomb now. They're a kid on the roof trying to assassinate presidential contender. They're blowing up an abortion clinic. They're doing whatever they're doing, and they fed themselves the lie that, well, what I'm doing is good. I'm sure what that kid on that roof is he thought he was, that he will be famous and talked for forever for doing this consummate good for humanity.
He heard that lie over and over and over and over again.
And all the things, the things that we do know about him, that he was picked on mercilessly at school and everything, he had all those pins removed.
Yeah. Yeah, just waiting for that right moment to make himself bigger than life.
Yep.
And that's where it was. Yeah.
Yep. It's like that guy who tried to shoot Reagan, who shot Reagan. He did it because
wanted to impress somebody. Yeah.
He thought he was doing a great good. And he thought he'd impress the right girls, that all these liberal girls would be swarming all over him. And how'd that work out?
Yeah.
So is our consensus on this is we just don't know?
Yeah.
The consensus, I think, is we don't know. And I don't know if we have a consensus on that it's older now than it used to be because we're not as responsible in these modern days as we were in older days.
Well, I think today is much different than it was 20 years ago.
Yeah.
I mean, before the internet, I remember the days of the fax machines and the one-way beepers. I mean, today it's ridiculous. The amount of information that's at these kids' fingertips, it's just mind-boggling. And when they're not monitored and they have free use and just aren't smart enough to understand. I have a 13-year-old granddaughter who is constantly can't live without the phone. She goes through the shakes. Yeah. It's like, you gotta be kidding me.
I'm my 8-year-old granddaughter.
Yeah. It's just it's a tool. If you
my
use
kids.
Granddaughter Chris, is that what you said?
Do what?
You have an 8-year-old granddaughter?
Yeah, it's the same way. And I tell my son all the time, son, you got to do more with her than just hand her the phone.
Yeah.
But that's this generation of parenting. It's here's the phone, here's the tablet, here's a computer.
Yeah.
Stay out of my hair. And
I mean, even TV. Now, I did it to my girls.
Yeah.
I mean, and I'm paying for it now. DVD box. Go watch the Disney movie. I'm doing something, and you would leave them there. They're quiet. Okay, it's quiet. It's peace in the house, and you do what you got to do. I mean, I only got to watch TV. I think it was from got home at 3:00 from school. Did schoolwork for about an hour. Went out to play. Mom said it's time for dinner. You're in at 6. done dinner at 7. From 7 to 8, you watch Happy Days. You watch something with the family. You weren't left alone.
Right.
And then end to bed.
You've looked around and you've noticed that things are pretty unstable right now. It's hard to find abundance where we once knew it. If you think things might get worse before they get better, you'd be wise to visit preparewithmojo50.com. It's our trusted source for emergency food, survival tools, water and air filtration, and more. Top quality and money-saving discounts for you as a Mojo listener. Be prepared to protect and feed your family in the event of an emergency. Preparewithmojo50.com.
I got my
Mojo 50.
I got my mojo working out.
Live free.
I got my mojo working. I got my mojo working out. But it just won't work on you. I got my mojo working. But I just don't know what to do, y'all.
Questions, comments, compliments, criticisms, suggestions. Shoot us an email to tincanradio@protonmail.com.
I only got to watch TV. I think it was from, got home at 3 o'clock from school, did schoolwork for about an hour, went out to play. Mom said, it's time for dinner. You're in at 6. Done dinner at 7. From 7 to 8, you watch Happy Days. You watch something with the family. You weren't left alone. Right. And then end to bed. When I lived upstairs with my grandmother, I slept upstairs, so I got to watch the 10 o'clock news or a little longer, an extra hour.
but that was watching something with the family. That's completely different than what it is nowadays, and even back whenever I was younger, where the television was the babysitter.
Yes, and I'm guilty just like a lot of other guys. I mean, sometimes it was just easier. We didn't let put in at that time, Disney was, Hunchback of Notre Dame kind of set me straight about Disney. That was not a kid's movie. But yeah, we used to let them, my two daughters, I mean, one grew up on Ariel and the other one was Beauty and the Beast. And they watched, my oldest daughter can almost say word for word the darn movie. That's how much she watched it. I mean, now it's, like I said, now it's different. Now it's the phone. Yeah. I mean, my 26-year-old it's always on the phone, always texting, always. I was like, you gotta be kidding me. What do you?
My son's confessed to me that, or at least he did when he was in high school, so this is going way back when, but he said that even in grade school, kids had phones with porn on them.
Yeah.
In grade school.
Yep.
And it's just...
That's how you get 13-year-olds who are pregnant.
Yep.
Yeah.
Or 12-year-olds, right? So, I got lucky with one, not so lucky with the other when it came to that. But it's just a different world. When I grew up, it was just different. It's unfortunate. I don't know how it got away from us, where we just allowed things to happen and not really pay attention to what was going on. And now, like I said, that age of accountability, they just keep pushing that. Like I said, 26 years old now is the age of accountability. Yep. You could be on your parents' insurance until the age of 26. I'm like, what? Yep. I was already serving in the Army. I had one coming. I was in a career. I mean, I had the job that it's just different. They're still searching for whatever.
I think they're lost. I think that's what it boils down to, is that nobody wants to take that. When my son was probably, 10 or 11 years old, and I got back there and I kind of really got on him for not cleaning his room, because I came back and I was like, this is not clean. This doesn't pass muster with Dad. God forbid, when your mom gets home,
There you go. If Dad doesn't approve of it, then you know you're not. You're.
They make a joke. My two girls